You definitely don't want to skip on these amazing new items in Cyberpunk 2.0. The main story especially adds a lot of really cool new powerful iconics, also possibly the most busted cyber implant you can now get from the fixer gigs, and finally a really cool weaponized vehicle that is possibly the fastest in the entire game, or at least one of the best. So let's jump right in, and as always, a thumbs up on the video would be definitely appreciated. Starting things off, we have the iconic Nehan knife that you get from Subaru's body during the heist mission. And this comes with a really high headshot multiplier of 150, plus it can apply bleeding very easily. But it also comes with a very interesting synergy if you also combine this with the Satori from the same mission. You will just need to make sure you grab this from the rooftop and just open up the AV with the two guards in front of it. But the way this works is really interesting because you can apply a bleeding effect with the Nehan, for example, and then just switch to the Satori, which has its own effect now. So now it will cause that bleeding to turn into hemorrhaging, which is also going to drain the enemy's HP and regenerate yours instead. This is of course the most optimal way of playing if you also use pay it forward, since that's going to boost up your katana damage by 200% as you retrieve your throwables back. But you can also do it the other way around, since both of these have their own bleeding effect. So for example, Satori, if it is sheathed, you can just hold down the attack button and this is going to quickly draw the weapon and immediately inflict bleeding on the target, so that you can then switch on the dagger and apply the hemorrhage the other way around. But both of these work just fine. Oh, and also don't miss out the Kangou next to Yorinobu's bed. This has been changed drastically in the new update, and it's one of the best pistols early on if you place on a silencer. You will find silencers during the same heist mission anyway, and it gives you a massive damage boost to headshots. Definitely something that you should get right away. Now, the next iconic comes in a bit later during the I Walk the Line mission. As you're doing it for the Voodoo Boys, eventually you're going to have to make your way to the Netwatch guy. But before that, you have this arena with Sasquatch. And what you'll notice is that there's a brand new iconic pop-up just behind her. So what you can do is directly jump to it and steal it right away. This is going to be Sasquatch Hammer right here, which is going to give you by far the highest damage per hit. But it also kind of comes with a big disadvantage, or well, a couple of them. One of them is that it's a very heavy weapon, so when equipped, it's going to significantly reduce your movement speed and jump height. And it's also going to prevent you from ever sprinting, dodging, and dashing. So unfortunately, this is also going to block that dash ability with the hammer from the body skill line. It's kind of bad, but otherwise the damage is going to be really big. You can really easily pull off 2, 3, 4, 5,000 damage with it, but you kind of will feel stationary against these targets. And against most of the bosses on the hard difficulty, you kind of don't want to do that, but hey, at least you have an option and you can get this. Maybe, who knows, in the future CD Projekt Red is going to remove that restriction on the movement speed. At number 3, we have an extremely strong cyber implant called the Axolotl. You have to complete all of Regina Jones' 23 gigs in North Side, and eventually you're going to get the last call, during which is going to tell you that there's a new reward from her in your apartment stash. So what you have to do is simply head over there, and you should notice the Axolotl right there, a tier 5 iconic cyber implant that comes with by far the highest cooldown reduction of all the items in the game. It also has a massive 55 of cyber capacity requirement, but the 10.5% cooldown reduction for every enemy kill is going to be just insane. And what this means is if you combine this with the Apogee Sandevistan, you can essentially go back to back Sandevistan all the time, as long as you just take down a few enemies. Literally, I can go constant Sandevistan between these two items, making it possibly the strongest interaction in the entire game. Eventually, I'm going to show you how to get a free Sandevistan, the Apogee one, in just a bit. But yeah, this is going to help quite a ton if you want that early on. I believe that by level 40, you can already achieve this. Oh, and by the way, if you want to combine this with a very strong weapon, I suggest finishing up Professional Widow. This is going to be given to you once you complete all the 8 out of 8 gigs for Wakako in Japantown. And again, she's going to give you a reward back at your stash, which is the Byakko Katana. So this has been changed massively so that every time you neutralize an enemy, you gain a massive attack speed bonus with the Byakko, which is going to let you slash all the enemies. I even made a build about this yesterday, so totally go ahead and check out the Blade Runner build. It's absolutely busted and one of the most fun builds right now, even on the hard difficulty. Moving on to 4, the next item is not really an item but actually a vehicle. This is the Type 66 HOON, which is also, I believe, a can block kind of Easter egg, and it also looks absolutely amazing. It has a ton of horsepower and it also comes with weaponized machine guns on it, and you can find this during the mission I'm in love with my car, that only pops up if you go right here in this abandoned warehouse in north side. So you will have to go to this location right here, and then you're going to spot the car as well as Johnny telling you to go inside. However, when trying to enter it, you're going to notice it is blocked, and that's because you need the keys. And the keys, fortunately, are going to be right beneath this rubble, right next to the vehicle in this legendary container. You might also find another legendary item inside, and of course the car keys to gain ownership over the car. And definitely pay attention to the inside. It looks really awesome. There are some other Easter eggs in there too, and some references. But yeah, the car is extremely fast. It has 1000 horsepower, so definitely on the faster side in terms of the vehicles you can get. Plus, it automatically gets some weaponized machine guns, and they are also mounted in a very good position in my opinion. It's like a little bit lower than some of the other vehicles, which means it's easier to hit some of the vehicles, especially the lower ones, when you're driving it. But moving on to 5, this brings us to this really awesome Errata Katana, aka the thermal katana from before 2.0, and of course the Apogee Sandevistan that you can get from the same location. So what you have to do is to head over to Republic East right here on this side of the map after you have finished a certain mission with Takemura. So you do have to be rather far into the main story, which is going to eventually bring you to this location right here called the Electric Corporation. So this is going to be part of that mission. You can also get it during that, I believe, but if you come in at a later date, you can just make your way inside the Sector 0 right here and just head over to the foundry. So just follow my route until you reach that location. Eventually, you're going to reach this area with the 2 sides. You're going to want to keep it to the right side and go 1 level below. Simply head over to the door with the big sign saying keep donors sedated right here. You will probably need technical ability to open this up, but if you go inside, you're going to notice right next to, I believe, this, well, thing right here with the flames, you can just go ahead and grab the katana from inside. So the Errata is really awesome because it automatically applies burn effects to targets, and if targets are set on fire, it's also going to guarantee critical damage with it. So that is actually a really good way to bump up your damage. If you go with a critical build and want to use this instead of the Byakko, it's totally an option. It's a little bit slower than that, but the damage is slightly higher and you get the guaranteed crits. So a really great option to switch to if you're playing against max tech, for example. And by the way, you can also get the Apogee Sandevistan from the same location. So simply head over back to that like double-sided room over there with the 2 entrances. So what you want to do in this case is to take it to the left right here in this control room. And from this point on, just go past it. Simply go past the clinic room right here into the second last room, and eventually you're going to see this legendary container onto the left side right next to the wall. Now, in my case, I got the Militech Apogee Sandevistan. I'm pretty sure that the same container can also randomly give you the Falcon instead. So what I suggest doing is to just create a save file before doing all of this and then re-rolling until you get the one that you need. Otherwise, you will need to buy it from any of the Reaper docs once you hit level 40 and get access to legendary Cyberware. But this is going to give it to you a little bit early than level 40, so I believe by 35 you can come to this location and it can give it to you if you haven't hit 40 yet. And finally, we have this really awesome Trauma Team suit. Yes, it's finally in the game and you get it from the Career Opportunities mission. But to get this in this first place, you're going to need to finish the Trauma Drama new minigame with the highest score possible. So at least 440,000 and basically get the first spot. So the easiest is by far to just do the 1-3 level on repeat and basically just stay in this position and never shoot down the helicopters. This way you're going to get infinitely spawn enemies and you can just farm this until you reach 450,000. Once done, simply let yourself die, let the countdown timer finish, and this is going to bring you to the main screen where you will have the max score. But if you exit this minigame, you're going to get the career opportunities, which is going to have you read the new message from the macroware, and you're gonna have to do this both on your phone and eventually to any computer terminal back at any of your apartments. From here, you're going to head over to the Trauma Team website and go to the third section right here. We want you. Scroll all the way at the bottom and you can now apply to become a Trauma member yourself. And this is then going to open up the final chapter of it, which is going to bring you right here on this side of the map, very close to the metro station nearby. You can simply head over to the med center and you're going to find a container with the items inside. Once you scan your identity, you can just grab the item from inside. It looks really awesome, and honestly, I wanted this since day one. So yeah, you can finally be a Trauma Team medic of sorts. So yeah, this is pretty much it with all these items. Let me know down below if there's any other iconics that went through some massive changes and any other new items that I might have missed. In the meantime, thanks so much for watching and I'll see you in the next video.